your soul. All of us are searching for the way to make it whole. Sweet songs in the silence, the sun is going down. Perhaps I'll love you someday when I'm wandering around. Home is where the heart is, alone lives in your soul. All of us are searching for the way to make it whole. All times are not the right times. Some stories never told. The dreams that we dream in our youth, love, are the places we live when we're old. Home is where the heart is, alone lives in your soul. All of us are searching for the way to make it whole. Stairs and bridges closed now, beware of breaking ice. If you choose to take a chance, you'll have to pay the price. Home is where the heart is, alone lives in your soul. All of us are searching for the way to make it whole.
Okay. That's Joanne Chang off of the Burdock 10 CD. She's my guest today. She's got a cough and I've got a sniffle apparently. So between the two of us, we'll have just a cacophony of cold sounds going on. That's actually also a track off of one of the CDs that you put out, isn't it, Joanne?
What? Oh, we did a show at the coffee house.
Yeah.
And there was a CD.
Right. And that was, I don't have it with me. I can't remember what year that was.
Me neither.
But
I'm really bad at remembering what year anything is.
Who was the guitarist on that track?
That was Matt Ryland.
That was good.
He is good. He's very good.
Is he a coffee house regular too?
No.
No.
He was associated with People's Bookstore. Used to run a poetry series there.
Okay, that's a good segue because just last night we had the Burdock 12 release. See, Burdock 10 came out last December, and this December on 12/12/12 we had the 12th issue, and Joanne is a part of that too, and had a poem in there that was really nice and dedicated to Susan Fear. And if you want a copy of that, it's in People's Books and shortly to be in Woodland Pattern as well. So, Joanne. Not a Milwaukee native, actually, ironically enough, isn't it?
I grew up in Texas.
Grew up in Texas.
I came to Milwaukee in 1992. My ex-husband, he's ex now, he wasn't at the time, had lost his job. He was working for an FM radio station, and then it got too much for him, and then when he tried to find another job, he was always overqualified. His mother lives in Milwaukee, so he decided to go back to Milwaukee, which he went back to Milwaukee 9 months ahead of me so that he wouldn't have to take all our stuff with him.
And then you followed and...
yes, by the skin of my teeth. I was getting really tired of being in Galveston. There is nothing in Galveston except beaches and historical houses and graveyards. They have a lovely graveyard. But how much time do you want to spend in your average graveyard anyway?
Well, not while you're alive anyway. Let's put it that way. That must have been like a great place to tell scary stories, though. I mean, beaches and old houses and graveyard. No, nothing.
Well, nope. I didn't have any friends that wanted to go hanging out in graveyards.
Well, I wouldn't want to hang out in a graveyard either. I can't blame your friends for that one, I guess. But then you moved up here, and
Yes.
You got acquainted with the poetry scene in Milwaukee, and you've kind of been a fixture in it ever since.
Yeah, when I moved up here, the first thing I went to was Poets Monday because my ex had been telling me about that. And that started my association with Poets Monday, which has been going on ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Sheila started Poets Monday in 1990 in the Hotel Melange,
Mm-hmm.
which was on the, I don't know if they call that a basement or first floor. That stuff always confuses me.
A ground floor, maybe, or
Yeah, of the Hotel Wisconsin.
okay.
Yeah, but the Melange was there, and it was, a ground level floor. But a lot of things in Milwaukee, which are on ground level, are called basements, which always confuses me.
Oh, yeah.
Why is this a basement anyway?
Well, Milwaukee's kind of got it's a little bit famous for having those apartments that the window is like just at the foot level of passersby.
Yes.
Laverne and Shirley used to live in one of those.
I've lived in a basement apartment before.
Is it as glamorous as it is on television, or?
No.
No? Okay.
Had a concrete floor.
All right. Any of those scuttling little centipede things? I hate those. I don't know.
Occasionally, I suppose.
All right. Well, I wanted to just touch base on all that stuff because I wanted everybody to get to know a little bit about you. And I think I can't even remember. I started going to Poets Monday, and that's where I met you. And you appeared in Burdock 6, and you were in Burdock 10, and now Burdock 12.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been a faithful supporter of Burdock ever since too, as well. And you're also a supporter of Woodland Pattern, and one of their top fundraisers every year at the Woodland Pattern Poetry Marathon. That's coming up pretty soon in January already.
Yeah.
What hour are you reading in?
I think I'm reading the 5 to 6. I have to go back and double check.
Right. Well, it'll be available on the website, I'm sure, and we can put a link up to that so that everybody is aware. You brought some things that you wanted to read today, and I didn't know you write a lot of things. You write poetry, you write songs, and you've written radio plays in the past.
Actually, it was only one radio play, but it was kind of cute.
Yeah. And you also perform regularly around Halloween.
I have a lot of Halloween material.
A lot of Halloween material.
A lot of stories, songs, and poetry.
See, that's why I kind of wondered if it was something about Galveston's graveyards and old houses that maybe influenced that, but we'll leave that. We'll leave that be, I guess. We can't blame everything on Galveston.
No, you can't.
And did you have anything you'd like to read first?
Well,
we brought
I have a bunch of
things here.
Yes, I do.
Oh.
However, I suppose we could start with, I only have one Christmas story.
Okay.
Which may or may not be.
Well, next time I'll have you on closer to Halloween. But I will say that a lot of the tradition about Christmas used to be scary stories. Henry,
this is not a scary story as far as I can tell. I can read it for you and you can be the judge of that. And for some reason, I can just envision the November criminals being in this story. Ha ha.
Very funny. All right.
It's called We Wish You a Merry Christmas. This story is not chicken soup for the soul. It's more like chicken soup for the terminally confused and slightly inebriated. Never mind. Once upon a Christmas time in a small village in merry old England, 3 friends decided to get a head start on their Christmas celebrating. So, on the day before Christmas, they went to their favorite pub and started drinking at 10:15 in the morning. With a great deal of enthusiasm, they kept this up until an hour before closing, whereupon they all passed out. The publican had had a very long day. He was tired. As a matter of fact, he was exhausted. He tried kicking them vigorously a few times, but all he was getting out of it was a sore foot. So he left them where they lay. He put the pub in order, locked up, and went home to his family. At about 3:15, they woke up, after a fashion. After blinking a few times in the alcoholic haze, they figured out where they were. Immediately, they went over to the bar and decided to have a drink. Then they wondered what to do next. Bert and Ernie looked blearily at Jack, who was the oldest by a month and a half. "I know," said Jack. "Let's have a piss match. The winner can have a free pint." They all trooped outside and drew a starting line in the snow. It was a cold Christmas day, so cold that your spit would freeze in the air before it ever hit the ground. Bert was first. He pulled out his willy and promptly fell flat on his face, ending up in a frozen yellow puddle. Ernie was next. He wobbled. His willy wobbled. He sat down abruptly in a shower of yellow ice crystals. Then it was Jack's turn. He stepped up proudly, grasped his willy firmly, and shot a golden arch into the air that landed 40 feet away in a yellow starburst. They all cheered loudly and had another pint. Then they decided to celebrate the occasion by caroling. So at 4:00 on a Christmas morning, they strolled through the village, ringing doorbells. To a chorus of curses and thrown bottles, they sang this song. "We wish you a merry piss match. We wish you a merry piss match. We wish you a merry piss match and a free pint of beer."
Ha. All right. I'll ask them if they think that's... The only problem is NTSC does not drink alcohol. But we could figure out, in the spirit of fiction, we'll portray him as being the drunkest of the three.
Yes, there is that.
Now, that was like one of those kind of short stories that you do.
Yes.
And sometimes have people come up and perform them with you at readings. I know I've been a part of that, and Evan's been a part of that, and Tim and several other handy volunteers have gotten up and done voices for you. When you write your little short stories, you tend to have a lot of voice work going on in some of the characters, because you play a lot of the other characters that you write.
Yes.
You have a really fun Southern belle that you do. It's really funny.
Oh, that's from the Doom and Despair diet.
There was also the one, the menagerie one, did you no, that was like an English accent or something, wasn't it? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Blurring in my mind, I haven't had all my coffee yet. Everything is kind of slowed down for me.
Last year, I did a show with David Press. Mm-hmm. It was something about the Madonna reinvented.
Right.
So they had a lot of art hanging up on the walls. And then they had people coming up doing poetry. I think it was Mario did some, and Darlin Nikki did some. I think Timothy did some too.
Okay.
And I did some. And, of course, David. Well, I wrote a poem for that one. And the poem is called "In the Stable." The night is cold and glorious. The star illuminates the heavens, and the glory of God shines round about for miles and miles and miles. The heavenly hosts sing in exaltation. Their voices are beautiful, awe-inspiring, and very, very loud. Shadows fill the stable. Gold piled in the corner glints in the flickering firelight. The scent of frankincense and myrrh mingles with the scent of manure. Shepherds and magi kneel in adoration. The cow chews her cud, while the goat snatches straw from the manger. It is crowded in the stable. The Savior begins to cry. He is hungry and needs a change of linen. Mother Mary bends over the manger. She picks him up, holds him close, and kisses his forehead. She gazes over the bowed heads of the worshiping men and sighs. She thinks to herself, if only there had been a midwife. I suppose you could call that a different take on the Madonna.
Yeah, that's good though. I think it's a themed. It's Christmassy. See, you had more than just one. I knew it.
Yeah.
Plenty of.
Well, I have like Christmassy things. The really short one goes, holiday warning. Christmas is coming. It's breathing down your neck. You better get your ass in gear or you'll wind up a wreck. Sometimes I rhyme and sometimes I don't. My feeling about that is some poems like to rhyme and some poems don't.
And you don't struggle with form in terms of like you don't sit down to think, I'm going to write this and have it be a rhyming poem. It just comes naturally to you is what you're saying.
Well, the poem decides if it wants to be a rhyming poem.
I get you. So one of the things that you do that's really special is it's kind of, I think Tim calls it a new tradition, but I don't remember how long back it goes now, but you write poems.
2007.
2007? You've been writing poems for features, kind of inspired by the feature at the Poets Monday.
On the night of their feature.
Yeah. And
yes.
The presentation of these poems is an origami box that a person can open up, and sometimes there's a little bird or sometimes a dragon
well,
inside.
it's a dragon this year because it's the year of the dragon.
Okay.
Now I'll have to think. What am I going to do next year?
What's next year?
I have no idea, and I am not making an origami, whatever it is, for every single year.
Origami rabbits.
I just happen to know how to make a dragon.
An origami ox would be kind of interesting.
Yeah. It was taught to me a long time ago by a lady who was in the Society for Creative Anachronism. She taught me how to make a dragon.
That's the you just had didn't they just have a get together, or
they had Boar's Head.
Boar's Head,
which is the annual celebration of Milwaukee, which in the Society for Creative Anachronism is called Carantorth Mar, the barony of Carantorth Mar. So it was a lot of fun and a lot of work. Ha ha.
But I heard there was a great feast that was had.
In Milwaukee, we always have a great feast. We have 4 removes, and there are about 3 or 4 dishes in each remove.
Okay.
And at the end of the feast, there's a big long table with these gallon plastic bags full of leftovers. And the aristocrat is going, take it, take it, take it. Because there's so much food.
Right. I had some of the salad. I think you had participated in making that salad.
Yeah, I was cutting up cabbage and bok choy.
Bok choy. That stays crunchy longer than most vegetables I know.
Yeah.
That get ziplocked up. I don't know. It was really tasty though.
Well, our people are good. In Milwaukee, we know about food. Food and beer. We know these things.
Things pack on calories for the winter time. Just in time for the holidays. Sometimes the holidays help more than anything. Right?
Yeah.
So, I didn't know if you had any of these poems that you had written to anybody specifically, or if you had something else in mind you wanted to read.
Well, different people inspire different poems.
Right.
And some of them I like better than others because that's the nature of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Let me see if I can remember the one for Jennifer Kraft. It is a sin to ignore the possibility of love, to tear the sky into fragments and toss it to the wind, to cover yourself in leaves and run down the street in search of a bonfire, to pour the ocean into a teacup because it always spills. But most of all, it is a sin to forget we love you.
Oh. Jennifer's great. She's got I know she has a reading coming up on Saturday, I think, with Mario the poet and her husband Sam Rodewald. I think they're all performing at Circle A. I'm not exactly sure the time. I'm going to guess 8 p.m. But yeah, she's been in a couple of Burdocks as well, and she's got that really good track. I think I'm going to have her and Sam on as guests at some point, but we haven't been able to juggle the work schedules yet, so it's kind of tricky.
Yes.
You work third shift, so you you tend to have kind of a different take on life, I'd imagine. Just not seeing the sunlight as often as some others.
Well, it's just one of those things. There's a guy at the VA. He's a VA greeter guy. It says good morning to people. And he would keep saying good night to me, and I would say, good morning. You're trying to get me disoriented. I know perfectly well it's morning. It's not night.
Huh.
Just because I sleep in the daytime doesn't mean I don't know that.
Right.
Yeah. So he thinks that's funny.
Well, I see you have the poem Small Saints out.
Yeah.
That was the one from Burdock 12. You had written that a while back for Susan
Fear. I wrote it
in
2002.
Mm-hmm.
When I came to Milwaukee, I encountered Jim Hazard and Susan Fear at readings. And I've always loved their poetry.
Right.
Always. This one is Small Saints. Where are the small saints, no higher than your hip, who slip their warm hands into your chilled heart on dark winter nights? Saints that protect you from runs in your Walgreens stockings, $2 for a pair. Saints that will find your lost sheep car hiding in the anonymity of the parking lot's crowded desert. Saints that will save you from pins in the carpet, mislaid wallets, razor-edged paper, broken glass in the dishpan, bone chips, typos, and the forgetting of appointments. Saints that will lay cool hands upon your forehead when the fever of living burns you up inside. Stone cathedrals, Vatican ceremony. They have no room for small saints. The history of religion, the weight of theology. Incense smoke, tall candles burning, have no place for small saints. Too small to be noticed, too young to be recorded, they lived and died in the hollow of God's hand. Where are the small saints? To sit beside a lost and lonely soul, to light the lamp of God's love in the vast emptiness of a darkling plain.
That's a good poem. I like that.
Yeah.
I know she had a book about, I think it was called The Lives of Saints. It was about
something
saints.
like that.
No, it wasn't The Lives of Saints. That's Butler's Lives of Saints. I can't remember the title of it, though, for some reason. But it was, I think it came out around that time, or maybe it was in the 90s. I don't know, but...
Could be.
I'm one of those people, I can never remember facts.
I think I have it somewhere.
Up.
Somewhere back there.
Right. Yeah, they're, unfortunately we lost Jim back in March, and, that was a great loss to the community in Milwaukee. Susan is still going strong and teaching over at UWM and everything. And I saw her not too long ago. You know, it was really good to see her out. And you know, I'd like to get her on the show at some point.
Yeah.
That poem from 2002, that's 10 years old. That's kind of amazing, actually, now that I think about it. It took 10 years. I don't know if you had printed that anywhere else, but it's really cool.
No, I haven't.
To get that one out there, yeah.
Actually, this is the original copy of the poem, which was later slightly revised.
Okay.
The one in Burdock, I think, is slightly revised.
I got the revised copy.
Yeah.
Well, now people can do a comparison contrast. They can listen to this show and then buy this is good marketing, Joanne. You didn't even know you were doing it. But
yeah.
People can buy the issue and then go back and listen to the podcast and do a comparison contrast. And that all kind of rhymed, I think.
Yeah.
Comparison contrast podcast. See what? You're starting to affect the show. Just being here.
I have a rhyming poem I wrote in 2008. And oddly enough, my second husband's nickname was Rhino. And he told me that it was because when he was in the war, he one time inadvertently went through a door with his head. And that's where he got that nickname. I don't really know about this because I wasn't there. So anyway, and I've been associated with the hedgehog, and I have this little tiny hedgehog at home. So that's why I would suddenly write things about rhinos or hedgehogs or whatever. And this is called A Christmas Walk with Rhino and Hedgehog. The rhino and the hedgehog were walking in the snow. There were sparkles up above and sparkles down below. The hedgehog said, "It's pretty." The rhino said, "It's cold." The hedgehog nudged him in the ribs and said, "Don't be a scold." They wandered through the snowy fields into the darkened woods, where up against a rowan tree a scruffy snowman stood. The rhino said, "Pathetic. He's a truly scraggly wretch." The hedgehog said, "Now don't be rude. Don't stand there and kvetch. If we should work together now and keep our spirits warm, I think you'll see that presently this creature will transform." They worked all through the afternoon to evening's dimming light, and soon the Christmas star did rise, shining strong and bright. When they saw their snowman as handsome as the sun, they glowed with satisfaction at the lovely job they'd done. For when we work together, miracles occur and turn from pain to happiness the problems we endure. So let us think about the earth and how she's been abused. For centuries by careless man, she has been roughly used. So let us work together. Let us set things right. And soon the earth will be renewed beneath the morning light.
Nice.
Eco Christmas poem.
Ha. So, how did you get associated with the hedgehog? Is that your power animal, as it were?
It's from... I was attracted to it from reading The Sword in the Stone.
Okay.
It's an animal that appears in The Sword in the Stone.
I know some people that collect little hedgehog things and knickknacks and doodads.
Yeah.
And I know it's kind of a thing. Some folks, like, once they fall in love with an animal or a type of animal, they tend to decorate their houses with that. Yeah. Things like that. Somebody I know used to like porcupines. You know, like some folks like cats and they just get everything that has a cat on it, and some folks like dogs. Some people choose more exotic animals like hedgehogs. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I have several of these artifacts. I don't really need any more artifacts because we're getting all full of stuff.
Yeah.
There is entirely too much stuff in our house.
No. Maybe it's a yard sale time or something. I don't know. I always feel the same way. I always have too many things that just get in the way and clutter everything up. But not everything is as poetically inspirational as a hedgehog, though, that I have in my house. Sometimes it's just crap I need to get rid of. So let's see. You have collaborated with other musicians in the past, too. I just want to talk a little bit about that. I don't have any. Unfortunately don't have any of the other tracks with me. Mm-hmm. But I was just going to talk about your songwriting that you do. Mm-hmm. And you did a CD of naked songs, you called it.
Right.
And it's
I have 2 of them now.
Now you have 2 of them, that's right. And you just basically...
It's the Naked Song series. It's just me singing because I do not play any instruments and I don't know anything about music. I just know how to write songs and sing them.
Mm-hmm. And when did that idea come into your head to do the Naked Song series, and how did that come about?
Because my voice teacher can record things onto CD, she has this equipment. And I was just thinking it would be a good idea just to get some of these songs recorded anyway. Mm-hmm. And at a later date, then if I could work out something with musicians and whatnot, I would have something to show them.
There you go.
Which I can't really work out stuff with musicians right now very well because all this working 40 hours a week and stuff like that is really exhausting.
Yeah.
I don't have any time.
There's not much time for that.
I have to retire so I can do these things.
And you could start the Joanne Chang Band or the Joanne Chang Ensemble.
Sandy Weistow usually will play for me when I do my features because I usually do like 2 features a year at Poets Monday. Right. The Halloween feature and a feature in May where I frequently have my mom joining me. She really likes that. She's very dynamic.
I'll give a shout out right now to Jeanette Clamola. She's down in Texas. Not Galveston, right? She's not.
No, she's in Houston.
She's in Houston. So we don't have to talk anymore about that
unfortunate
place.
Sandy and I did some Christmas songs, old style Christmas songs.
Okay.
And one of these songs, which I really love, is called Miss Fogarty's Christmas Cake. And I can try and do this for you. I'm only vaguely remembering the melody line, but
okay. Well, it's experimental radio, so
right,
it's okay.
Yeah. As I sat in me window last evening, the letterman brought it to me, a little gilt-edged invitation saying, "Gilhooney, come over to tea." Well, I knew that the Fogartys sent it, so I went just for old friendship's sake. And the first thing they gave me to tackle was a slice of Miss Fogarty's cake. There were plums and prunes and cherries. There were citrons and raisins and cinnamon too. There was nutmeg, clove, and berries, and a cross that was nailed on with glue. There were caraway seeds in abundance. She could work up a fine stomach ache that would kill a man twice after eating a slice of Miss Fogarty's Christmas cake. Miss Mulligan wanted to try it, but really it wasn't no use, for we worked at it over an hour, and we couldn't get none of it loose, till Kelly came in with a hatchet, and Murphy came in with a saw. This cake was enough by the powers for to paralyze any man's jaw. And there were plums and prunes and cherries. There were citrons and raisins and cinnamon too. There was nutmeg, cloves, and berries, and a cloth that was nailed on with glue. There were caraway seeds in abundance. She could work up a fine stomach ache that would kill a man twice after eating a slice of Miss Fogarty's Christmas cake. Miss Fogarty, proud as a peacock, kept smiling and blinking away, till she tripped over Flanagan's brogans, and she spilt the home brew in her tay. "A Gilhooney," she says, "you're no teeting. Try a little bit more for my sake." "Oh no, Miss Fogarty," says I, "for I've had quite enough of your cake." There were plums and prunes and cherries. There were citrons and raisins and cinnamon too. There was nutmeg, cloves, and berries, and a cross that was nailed on with glue. There were caraway seeds in abundance. She could work up a fine stomach ache that would kill a man twice after eating a slice of Miss Fogarty's Christmas cake. Mulhooney was took with a colic, O'Donnell a pain in his head. McNulty lay down on the sofa, and he swore that he wished he were dead. Miss Bailey went into hysterics, and there she did wriggle and shake, and everyone swore they were poisoned from eating Miss Fogarty's cake.
It's unfortunate.
Yes. I can't write any serious Christmas songs. I only write non-serious Christmas songs.
The fun ones that everyone can get into. I think that's fine though. That's good. You don't want to necessarily. There's enough serious songs out there for Christmas. It's okay.
Yeah.
That would be a fun one to go caroling with. Yeah. Print out enough copies, teach a bunch of people the melody.
Yeah.
That would be funny. You've let's see. I'm trying to think. You've also done a bunch of shows down at the Joyce Parker Presents.
A few, yes.
A few down there. And you're also a frequent member of the, I'm going to get this wrong, is it Wisconsin Fellowship of Poets?
Yes.
That's right, okay.
Otherwise known as WFOP.
Okay.
And I got a poem in the calendar for 2013.
Very good, very good.
On the theme of neighborhoods.
All right. Is it a, do you know what day or week it is on the calendar?
I don't remember. I have to look it up in the back.
All right. That's where do they sell those? They have them at Woodland Pattern, I know.
Yeah, they do have them at Woodland Pattern. They might have them at Boswell too.
Okay. So.
And I don't know if they have them at People's.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
It's hard to say.
You never know where everything's getting sold nowadays, but I'm sure there's a couple in the other bookstores around the state even.
Yeah. Well, it's Wisconsin, so they have them.
Yeah.
People in the membership are putting them in other bookstores.
There you go. Well, it's good that we've got that out there. So if people can find out what day or week. Is it a weekly calendar? I forget now. It's like I think it's like a spiral bound weekly calendar, but I could be mistaken.
It is. It's spiral bound, and it has poems and like little places to write stuff.
Good. And then it's like kind of a thing to, famous thing to be in, locally or locally famous, however you look at it.
Yeah. Wisconsin
famous. There you go. So, how is it? How does that get determined? Do they take submissions for that, or is it?
People submit to the Poets Calendar.
Mm-hmm.
They have this long period of time where the people who are in charge of making the calendar for that year read all the submissions and then pick out the ones for the calendar. Because you get thousands of submissions, they don't put that many things in the calendar.
Right. Oh, that's good. So, besides the calendar, have you gotten any other things out that you wanted to push right away, like we talk about? You've got the CDs, and you've got some of those on sale at Woodland Pattern, I know. Yeah. And
I have some stuff at People's.
You have some stuff at People's?
Edwin said he read the Dorothy Parker one.
That's right.
Tribute to Dorothy Parker.
Edwin Perry was at the reading last night.
Yeah, that's my Parker poems, which were poems that were written influenced by Dorothy Parker. One of them is called Absence Makes the Heart Grow Fonder. I have this little problem. What I seek I cannot find, and the thing I miss the very most is my absent little mind. I often walk into a room, can't think what I came there for, and it never really comes to me till I'm walking out the door. There are gremlins living in our house full of trans-dimensional spite, and the moment I set something down, they whisk it out of sight. I've lost my glasses on my head, my keys inside my hand. I'll lose the ground I'm walking on and have no place to stand. That's what Parker poems are like. They're all like short rhyming poems.
That's good. You can remember that one too. That's the thing. I have such a hard time remembering poems.
I can only remember a few things that are kind of lodged in my permanent memory file. Okay. Not very many. People at the WFOP conferences, they have this impression that I've memorized everything under sun, but I really haven't. I just memorize a few things,
right?
And then I'll just unmemorize them again and memorize a few things more, and blah 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 blah. Goes on like that.
I get you. It's like just like on a computer. Sometimes you got to delete the old file and the new one in. I get it. You have been really prolific, though. Now, did you start writing before you came to Wisconsin?
I was writing songs before I came to Wisconsin, but I didn't really start writing poetry till I came to Wisconsin.
Okay. Now, on an estimated, if you just estimate how many poems you've written since you started, I'm just curious because I know that I see the sheaf of just like page, reams and reams of pages over here. So it's like,
well, I have these 3-ring binders.
Yeah.
And I've got about 7 or 8 of them.
Mm-hmm. And how many pages are in each of these binders, do you reckon?
Oh, 100 and something.
That's prolific. I would call that prolific. And you've got, over the years, you've picked out the kind of favorite ones, things that you enjoy the most, that you bring out. Do you find yourself like cycling through, or do you remember the poems based on the year that they were written, or is it kind of like a special event that brings it up? Because I was just curious, when you gave me the one that was dedicated to Susan Fear, that's obviously 10 years old. And so I was curious as to like how you came to think about that one again. You pulled it out of the file that you may have had, or if you were just looking over the, you know what I mean? Like,
well, there are certain poems that stand out. That's just what you might call a standing out poem. And I had put in this, I was trying to make a Christmas folder, which I haven't finished making yet. Then I had to go through everything and look for the other Christmas related stuff that I have. But that one is just the one that always sticks in my head, along with the one about eating angels in the Sunday kitchen.
Okay.
Those ones are always just floating around, being present, so to speak.
Right. And then when you take the time to memorize poems, is it easier to memorize poems that don't rhyme, or that do rhyme, as opposed to ones that don't, you find?
Usually rhyming poems are easier to memorize.
Yeah.
I have a lot of songs in my head. Not all of them, of course. I used to.
Right.
But I've written a lot of songs since then. And I have more songs in my head than anything else. Mm-hmm. Because not only do they have a rhyme, but they have a melody.
Right.
Which makes it simpler.
Well, I remember I first saw you at the I think it was one of the Woodland Pattern poetry marathons, and you did a poem and then you did a song, and I was just like, who is this woman singing at a poetry marathon? That's quite an unordinary thing to do.
I'm always singing at open mics and poetry readings. Mm-hmm. The people are, getting to expect that, and want that, and the people at WFOP, what do you sing at us,
Do a song.
They don't buy my stuff, though. They just tell me they like it.
Yeah. Well,
people just don't buy my stuff.
We'll have to start convincing them otherwise somehow. We'll figure it out. You know what I've discovered? This is my personal experience. Packaging somehow has everything to do with people's purchases. Like hardly anybody buys the things that I just make and staple, but then you go and you get something with a nice glossy cover, and everybody wants a copy all of a sudden. That's the way it is. But this performing of a poem and a song, sometimes when you get up, you write poems for features at the Poets Monday. Have you ever written a song for a feature?
That is extremely rare, but I did write one for Colin O'Brien, actually. I was very curious.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. And it's short. It's kind of curious. See if I can remember it.
Right.
The sweetest song I ever heard to mine I can't recall, but the mockingbird, he sings your name, and I can hear his call. I'll follow the river down to the sea. If you follow along, you can come with me. If I had the wings of a turtle dove, would you fly with me? Would you be my love? Sun in the morning, he rules the dance. Moon at night, she gives us a chance. If you learn my words, you can sing my song. If you take my hand, you can follow along.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's good. And Colin O'Brien needs to set that one to music. That's the next step there.
I thought he was going to Nashville.
I think he is down in Nashville. I remember the performance that he gave. I think it was at that Poets Monday that you did that song.
Yeah, he said he was his final and he was going to Nashville or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess he did.
He went down there to get
famous
and rich. Which is good, you know. You got to make those moves once in a while if you want to get famous and rich. You know, you can't linger too long.
Yeah, right.
In some cases, I don't know. And there are other people just become working stiffs, like Joanne here, who's working her tail off for 40 hours a week.
Yeah, I'm a chicken shit. There's no way I can try and make a living off of this artistic side of my nature.
Well,
at least not at present.
It's
I
difficult
would need
stuff.
help.
Yeah, it's hard for all of us, I tell you. But we still do it nonetheless because we all like doing it so much.
Well, when you're writing poetry and stuff like this, it's just a thing that you do. You do it because that's what you do. You just have to.
Kind of a thing. Disease, maybe. I don't know. Some scientist will crack open somebody's head and figure it out one day. Why do people do this? Did you have a final poem that you wanted to close out with? Because we're getting kind of close.
Do you want to put the Dysfunctional Family Christmas on this one?
You can. You can. You're more than welcome to do the Dysfunctional
Might
Family
as well,
Christmas.
because it's my favorite anyway.
Okay.
It's just another dysfunctional family Christmas. Everybody's crazy, drunk, and mad. It happens every year, bringing us Christmas cheer, warming our hearts and making us all feel glad. Granny's stripping in the kitchen, 'cause the eggnog she's been snitching. She used to be an enthusiast, but her heyday is well past, and we've gone into the living room to get free. The pumpkin pie is rather soupy, and the turkey's awfully droopy. There's ashes in the stuffing, 'cause Mama keeps on puffing on those black cigars she gets from overseas. Aunt Mary's out to lunch now, knitting sweaters by the bunch now. She's giving them as presents to some needy foreign peasants. Thank God she isn't giving one to me. Uncle Bob we thought was missing, till we saw where he was pissing. Up on the roof for an hour and a half, snow in his pants just makes him laugh. He never really knew what he wanted to be. Daddy shooting in the basement at the demons in the casement. He's had too much to dream and it makes him want to scream. What's in his head he doesn't want to see. Jody's tripping in the bedroom, 'cause she wants to get some headroom. Out the window by her heels, 'cause she likes the way it feels. But we gotta pay the man, 'cause this ain't free. It's just another dysfunctional family Christmas. Everybody's crazy, drunk, and mad. It's only once a year, and I must confess I fear every single one of us Christmas is quite glad.
Hey. All right. Everyone's going to isolate that track, and that'll be MP3 viral explosion on that. I have to do this disclaimer. I forgot to do this at the beginning of the show, so I'm going to try and read it in the past tense, I guess. So instead of saying welcome, I'll say, this has been Burdock Radio. My name's Keith Gosted, and I'm the producer of the show. The things you've heard over this past hour are the views of the Burdock Radio and the people making them. All opinions and quotations in no way represent River West Radio and are the sole responsibility of the producer, guests, and callers. River West Radio is not liable for any legal issues arising from the content of this program, including the dysfunctional family that was portrayed in that. I'm entirely sure that was a fictional family.
It is.
And not based on anyone. If any resemblance to any actual families is not intended by Joanne Chang, I'm pretty sure.
It is not my family.
Yeah, it's not her family.
I don't know these people. I made them up.
Well, I don't know. I think we all know those people, but we don't. Maybe we don't all know them at once. Maybe we just know one person in that group. I think that's what makes it a good Christmas jingle. So, thanks for coming on the show, Joanne, and thanks for sharing poems and stories and songs. And I hope that you have a very happy holiday season. And I hope everybody comes out to Poets Monday when they get a chance and says hello to Joanne. The next feature next week is Tim, right?
Yes,
Tim Kloss. And then they're gonna take a break from
2
that.
2 weeks off because of where Christmas and New Year's are in the week.
Right, and then they're coming back in January every Monday. So it's a good show and it's a good time. And you could also see Joanne around the city at different various places. You perform at a lot of different places, open mics and featuring at different venues. So.
And we're at Miramar.
At Miramar on Tuesdays, that's right. And people should come to that one. We just had our 9th year anniversary this past Tuesday. And then you can come to this one, and then we're taking 2 weeks off, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah, because I think it's Christmas Eve or Christmas Day and New Year's Day.
Something like that.
Something like that. So, but yeah, anybody is welcome to come to these open mics. So anyway, thanks again for coming on the show, Joanne. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I'll close us out with your track again from the Burdock Tents as we say goodbye. So goodbye.
Is where the heart is, alone lives in your soul. All of us are searching for the way to make it whole. Sweet songs in the silence, the sun is going down. Perhaps I'll love you someday when I'm wandering around. Home is where the heart is, alone lives in your soul. All of us are searching for the way to make it whole. All times are not the right times. Some stories never told. The dreams that we dream in our youth, love, are the places we live when we're old. Home is where the heart is, alone lives in your soul. All of us are searching for the way to make it whole. Stairs and bridges closed now, beware of breaking ice. If you choose take a chance, you'll have to pay the price. Home is where the heart is, alone lives in your soul. All of us are searching for the way to make it whole.